Someday we'll get paid for this.
Hello, folks. I'm AP Ticker, and this is a Scrapple News editorial. Let's talk about us and Libya.
For more than 4 decades, the Libyan people have been ruled by a tyrant, Muammar Gaddafi. He has denied his people freedom.
Nice speech by the president. Touched all the right notes about why we have to protect Libya's rebels from Muammar Gaddafi, although neglecting to spell out exactly why we're not helping the protesters in Yemen, Ivory Coast, North Korea, or, for that matter, Bahrain. Funny how that whole Navy base in their country influences things. Huh?
But when our interests and values are at stake, we have a responsibility to act. That's what's happened in Libya over the course of these last 6 weeks.
Still, I'm not buying this one, and I'll tell you why. For the past 2 years, the Republicans have told me about all the things we can't afford. We can't afford to pave roads in Virginia. We can't afford high-speed rail. We can't afford renewable energy. And we sure as hell can't afford to regulate Wall Street. We also can't afford unions and well-paid teachers. We can't afford to fund public schools or higher education. We can't afford universal health care either, or even the shoddy little bill that managed to squeak through our creaky and ossified political system. And of course, we can't afford Social Security, food stamps, and Medicare. Those are entitlements, do you know? And poor people need to stop being so damn entitled to those programs they've been paying into for decades. For that matter, we can't afford to tax corporations, which is why behemoth General Electric, we bring death to good things, as the neighbors in Fukushima will certainly confirm, didn't pay any taxes last year.
Long before the Fukushima nuclear plant was crippled by an earthquake and tsunami, there were warnings. More than 35 years ago, General Electric engineer Dale Bridenbaugh resigned over concern about the safety of the nuclear reactor design used in the Fukushima plant.
I wish that we had taken more seriously some 30 or 40 years ago some of the concerns that I had at that time, and had worked harder on the development of alternative energy forms.
Now, on the surface, you'd think this was all a bunch of Republican hogwash. And it is. But here's the thing. The Democrats agree. When the Republicans threatened a government shutdown, the first compromise suggested by the president was to blow another hole in the deficit by extending tax cuts to rich people who don't need them. How did he do it? By reducing the payroll taxes that fund Social Security. And earlier this week, the Democrats offered another $20 billion in cuts to the Republicans, who are intent on slashing the budget by any means necessary. The president himself says we can't afford Social Security, although he lets surrogates like his hand-picked cat food, deficit commission, do the work for him. So now, all of a sudden, we can afford to start a third war when we can't afford anything else? I'm not buying it.
As Commander-in-Chief, I'm grateful to our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and to their families. And I know all Americans share in that sentiment.